So I cannot believe that we're already celebrating episode number 2 of
Indeed.
the Marbella Way.
The daily dose of Marbella Way.
And what we decided is that we're not going to wait celebrating that until episode number 100. So we're already going to celebrate it now, right?
Yeah.
And I was just reflecting a bit on this. Is there more to say about Marbella? I will say we have not started. We
haven't started yet.
We will have to reach episode at least 199 to say that we've been around the block, right? So should we open the thing?
Totally. Let's do it. And by the way, I don't.
Do you have a license for that?
I have totally license. I have more than a license. I'm a professional.
A professional.
I'm an amateur in a lot of things, but in this thing, this specific thing, I'm actually a pro.
It's always good to do what you're good at.
Yes. Always.
Nice sound. To episode 2.
To episode 2.
But actually, I should be serving you.
Is that a thing? Okay.
Thanks for opening it.
You're very welcome. By the way, this is a good startup for a daily dose of the Marbella Way. Cheers for that.
Cheers. And I look forward to episode 2. What are we going to talk about this time?
We are going to talk about a lot of different things. What are you doing when you have never been to Marbella before? Where do you start?
So
first thing, you definitely arrive at some point in an airport. That will be, in this case, Malaga Airport. Either you arrive in a helicopter private jet or you just go monkey class.
Some people arrive to Seville as well, which is one of the major cities that we cannot forget in Andalusia. Seville is amazing.
1.5 hour away from Marbella.
Yes, I would always recommend try both airports. And then we should mention the third option, Gibraltar. Little England.
Yes.
It's only 60 minutes down the coast from Marbella. So if you want to land in England, if you want to land in United Kingdom, you can. But yeah,
quite special.
So that's actually the shortest runway in any airport in the world.
Did you check that out?
I checked it out. There's one almost as short. I think it's Tibet.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Totally. That's Tibet.
So, and that's, by the way, an amazing place too. But Gibraltar, with an amazing history. But we should stick to Marbella because there's so much to say. But when we reach episode number 199, we will have to talk about Gibraltar too.
And does it have to be episode 199?
It doesn't have to. We'll take it as it comes.
Perfect, because I think there's so much to talk about with Gibraltar as well. Because it was also like the James Bond movie was also filmed there.
One of the aha experiences I got when we moved down to Marbella many, many years ago was that Marbella, we keep talking about Marbella, but that's because it's the most famous hotspot in Spain, in Europe, maybe in the world soon. So that's why we talk about Marbella, but it's just like, it's kind of a reference point. Mm-hmm. Because a very fundamentally important thing is to move away from Marbella to Córdoba, Granada, Sierra Nevada, Seville, all those places that surround Marbella makes Marbella greater as well.
Right.
It's the environment that Marbella is situated in that makes Marbella great. But yeah, the place is great in itself too. So let's talk about the 10 things we would do in Marbella.
So what if we came for the first time? Arrived the first time in Malaga Airport, what would you do?
First of all,
would you take a taxi? Would you hire a car? Or
I would recommend start going west. West is where Marbella is. You can go east. There's a place called La Herradura out there, which is a pretty amazing place where the rocks hit the water. It's more dramatic. It's a different nature out there. It's beautiful too, but it's just not very. There's not a lot you can do there. I think it's great to go there for 1 or 2 days to experience it. But in Marbella, of course, the first thing we have to mention when we talk about the first 10 things to do when you arrive for the first time is the old town in Marbella.
Yes.
So that is, it's very small. What we should say about the place is it has ancient roots. Mm-hmm. All the way back, it goes back 3,000 years at least to the Phoenicians, to the Romans. And that's why you can see ruins and you can see old, let's say,
There's a lot
kind
of churches
monuments.
There as well. A lot of churches. I love small churches, even as small as your back pocket.
From those those periods. And there's one amazing thing that I will, now that we talk about that, we will have to talk about the Old Town, but I have to mention when we talk about the Roman Empire expanding out to the western part of Spain, the southwest, is that Julius Caesar came out there with his forces, and it's just a totally adventure. It's a fairy tale to talk about.
I never knew you were like such a historian.
The truth is that if you go straight up from Marbella towards La Concha, towards the mountain, you go up to Ojen, and that's an old fisherman village, and it's connected with a river that goes down to the coast. And in that particular river, in that area, numerous gold coins have been found, dated back to when Julius Caesar was there. So I just found that I almost bought one of those things to go and look myself. It would be awesome to find a coin from that period. But anyway, so back to the Old Town.
So you don't have to come to Marbella just to enjoy the beach. You can actually also enjoy a part of the history and culture if you're interested in that. It's not only a party place or...
I mean, for me personally, the mountains are such a huge part of the experience. It's not just about a beach. It's a chain of mountains bordering up to the Mediterranean, making the whole environment very dramatic. So you can, in 20 minutes, you're on a hike. On the way, you're like in the middle of nowhere. And it's that whole experience of nature combined, with the historic and cultural parts that you will experience back to the Old Town as well.
Let's go back to the Old Town first.
So what do you feel about the Old Town? What do you like to do there? And what's
I love history. I love, I'm really such an old soul. I love to stroll around in the couple streets. It's very, very windy and, but small, narrow. There's a lot of cafes, charming restaurants. And of course, you can have amazing paellas, sangria, which is like the typical Andalusian cuisine.
Do you remember the place we went to recently and met the owner of this small boutique hotel? No. And how amazingly beautiful that was refurbished. You remember
when we right. But it's also a part of the Relais et Chateau, which is like a big brand in the world if you're into gastronomy, if you're into fine wines. Yeah. This is a landmark of, what would you say, a small hotel.
It's probably the most beautiful example in the Old Town of refurbished, very, very old buildings. When they were refurbishing this place, he told us that they found a 700-year-old church behind somewhere in the building, and they then totally refurbished it. So it's the best and most detailed refurbished building in Marbella, and it took 8 years. And it was extremely expensive. It cost several millions of euros to refurbish. I don't know how many. I forgot the number, but it's a very large number.
That's true.
So they just very respectfully refurbished that place. So when you enter, it's obviously totally clean and very, very beautifully made. But it has those like 70-80% of the place is as it was hundreds of years back. Right. And then combined with amazing gastronomy.
Not allowed to change a lot.
That's another thing. They have restrictions, and not that many can actually afford to refurbish a house under those circumstances because it's very demanding. But he did that in a very impressive way.
Beautiful way. So that's definitely a place to go. And I'm sitting here thinking about what is the name of it. But we will get back to that. I cannot remember it right now.
You remember the name? They took back the name that it had in the 70s. It was the inn place in the Old Town of Marbella. We'll think about the name of the place in a second. But you love food, and what do you remember about the food in the place?
So of course it's a little gem, and they have a sommelier as well. So if you're into food and wine, you can have one of the best, I think, gastronomy experiences in the Old Town. They also have Skina, which is like a smallest Michelin restaurant in the world. So it's also very close to that. But if we're talking about back to that hotel again, is that they have chefs from France and all over Europe coming there. They have, as far as I remember, they go have connection with the local farms, for the local produce. So everything that produces in-house and local. Nothing is bought from a shop anywhere. Everything is homemade in that hotel. And I still can't remember what the name is.
And they even had their own. It wasn't, of course, it was their own drink from. You remember the?
I can't remember anything
Yeah.
because when we get there, when we was invited there, the owner, he liked to spoil us with a lot of different drinks. So in the end, I cannot remember much for that night, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
So other places you would like to mention from the old town? What is the? Because the thing that we could mention here is that the old town in Marbella is relatively small, whereas the old town in Estepona, which is 20 kilometers west, is much bigger. It's maybe 5 to 10 times bigger. An amazing place to go as well. But all the pueblos, all the old villages are called pueblos with the Spanish word. So wherever pueblo you go to in Andalusia is absolutely amazing. Marbella is just one of them. But it's quite small, very narrow streets, right? Narrow, it's like
I think if you
2
talk
meters
about from
broad.
if people have never been to Marbella before, it's definitely a beautiful and special place to go. It's very authentic, original, and it's just next to the beach.
But where else would you go if you were there, apart from the place we just talked about?
So there's like Plaza de las Naranjas.
Yes,
It's like the Orange
the
Square.
Orange Square.
Yeah.
Very, very popular place.
Surrounded by a lot of restaurants, very charming, live music as well. And that's definitely a must-go place if you are in Marbella.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing that you would do if you came to Marbella for the first time. What's the second thing you would do?
One place you will go, the old town. The second place, what would you do in Marbella? You have to visit all the amazing beaches around here. The Sirenguitos, which is like the beach bars and restaurants.
And can you mention some examples of how different the beaches are?
Very, very.
Can you mention 2 or 3 places you like to go?
I think I was about to ask you that question.
Okay. So one of the places we came a lot was one of the places where we went a lot is that we went to, you remember the beachfront in the old town. So we just talked about the old town. So if you just go straight to the ocean or the beach from there, the nice thing about it is the whole paseo, the whole beachfront is just. If we talk about a place for a nice power walk, for a meditative experience, walk between Marbella to Puerto Banús, it's about, let's say, probably 10 kilometers. That is top 3 what I love to do in Marbella, that walk. Whether you run, walk, alone, with your family, with your friend, it's just, there's so many impressions and everybody's happy there. Everybody's out jogging and enjoying the place.
So definitely beaches, yes, it's a must go.
So that's obviously you're walking along one.
And there's
long
so many
beach.
different kind of beaches. If you want to take your family, you want to go party, if you just want to go there for a nice lunch, there is like all kinds.
So the beaches are
beach.
not
What
that.
your idea of a beach is.
In Marbella as such, the beaches are quite similar. So it's not the beach, it's more the Chiringuitos,
Right.
the small places. So you would go, for example, to Trocadero one day, which is one of the restaurants on the beach. Then another day you might take the Chiringuito, which is related to Marbella Club.
Yeah, or a beach club where they have a pool.
Or a beach club with a pool. So that's more,
Or you go with your family on a Saturday or Sunday or just have lunch there and the kids can play in the sand.
and that was the great thing if you have kids with you, the great thing is they can just run around for hours. And so it's good for both
You don't need a nanny.
adults and kids.
Put the kids in the beach, the sand, see you in 3 hours.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
One thing more. So we're talking about the old town, we're talking about the beach. Next thing is you have to visit Puerto Banús.
Yeah,
It's a very, very famous place
yeah.
in terms of boats, yachts, and luxurious shopping.
Yeah, it was a port that was founded in the 70s, and by José Banús, I think was his name. There's a statue of him in Puerto Banús. It's just a small, cozy harbor, and there's a lot of stories from there.
Do you have any stories?
One of the stories that is, let's say, a story that like an important story in Marbella is the story about the Saudi king that came to Marbella for many, many years in a row. and had brought his family and friends.
And he actually made a copy of the White House.
He did.
And it's still there.
And it's still there. So that was a pretty, and I remember some of the very special stories from different people who were around at the time. And I remember...
They definitely know how to pull a party off there.
One of them was the relative of the founder of Marbella Club. So that guy, he delivered gazpacho, which is this, I love this cold Spanish soup. I always drink.
For people who don't know what gazpacho is, it's basically a cold soup with tomatoes, with onions, garlic, and cucumber.
I drink it. I can drink it for breakfast or eat it for breakfast.
It's amazing.
It's so nice for your stomach. And it's one. If I have a top 5 shopping list when I arrive in Spain, gazpacho is number 1 for me personally.
Good.
You know,
I
for some people it's orange juice, but for me it's yeah. But so gazpacho. Our friend there, he delivered.
Did I forget about something?
So we talk about the gazpacho. So the Saudi king, he loved the gazpacho of our friend's mother's. It was our friend's mother made the gazpacho, and he loved it. So he told him to bring it every week or every day. I think it was every week, a portion of that to the residents or his residents, and he did for a long time, a long period of time, just as a nice gesture, a friendly gesture. They're used to guests in Marbella. They're very hospitable. The whole place is built on having guests. So in the end, I remember that he told us that as a thank you, he gave him the most crazy Rolex watch with like full of
diamonds and a gold, like full on diamonds.
He got that one day
full on
as a thank you for the gazpacho.
Gazpacho, see.
So, yeah.
That's quite a good story, I will say.
Yeah. Why did we we talked about that story because we talked about the Saudis visiting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was because we talked about Puerto Banús, the special stories around that place. So it's kind of evident that a lot of special stories will arise when so many completely different people and cultures visit the place.
I have one more. Because also, if we talk about famous people coming to Marbella, back then, Audrey Hepburn was one of them.
In the 50s,
And actually, our kids went to school in her old villa.
Yes.
It was quite a thing.
The Montessori school,
Montessori school.
Yeah.
So Audrey Hepburn was also a very good friend of the...
She loved Marbella too.
Of not only Marbella, but the Marbella Club Hotel.
Yeah. But back to Puerto Banús. So, yeah, another thing I wanted to say about that place is that it's a scene as well. So people, not all people, but some people with big cars, whatever it is, nice cars, they like to circle around.
Yes.
So they buy a passport for the harbor.
It's like a Formula One.
You have to pay like, let's say,
you
probably have to pay at least 2,000, maybe more per year, dollars or more, to be allowed to drive in the port. Maybe they will close that one day, but they have this car limit, so
it is a trend.
It's a trend.
Circling around.
And they don't come once, they just come 10 times.
Oh, you're there again, hi.
Yeah. So that's part of the activity going on in Puerto Banús, right? It's the cars passing by.
And of course the shopping. We have to mention the shopping.
Yeah.
From Louis Vuitton to Christian Dior, to Hermes to Valentino, I think even D Squared is there. All the top brands in the world have a shop or a position in the harbor of Puerto Banús.
Yeah.
And Chanel also opened recently in the Marbella Club Hotel. Important to notice as well if you're into shopping.
Yeah. And then we should mention when we talk about these big international brands they have some of their flagship stores in Puerto Banús where they know a lot of people from the world will look at their brand. That there are a couple of local brands as well. For example, Homies Marbella, which is a local clothing brand, really cool. And they actually expanded to Dubai and certain other locations.
I think also Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, so what is nice to see is that the locals in Marbella, whether it's in gastronomy or in this case, clothing design, that these local success stories also are part of the place. It's not only the so-called rich people coming in from outside and creating space for their big brand, but it's also local entrepreneurs that actually are really significant in Marbella. That's a nice thing to see as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that was Porto Banús. Is there anything else we should talk about when we?
So Marbella also have not only Marbella, but the stretch from the airport towards Marbella is called Costa del Sol. But in other terms, it's also called Costa del Golf.
Yeah.
Because there is the biggest golf scene in Europe.
Yeah, it has the highest concentration of golf courses in Europe. So it's very interesting that I never really played that much golf, having lived there for
But
that long.
we can figure that out.
I did visit a lot of the lunch restaurants on the golf in the golf clubs.
Suit you to wear a golfing outfit,
but yeah, but it's an amazing. And when we talk golf, we should mention a couple of. So where would we recommend? Because obviously we know the good places because we know a lot of people who play golf there, and a lot of professional golfers come from all over the world. So Valderrama is the most important. That is
prestigious one.
The most prestigious and the most famous. It's in the big tournaments. I think the World Tour.
Located in Soto Grande. It's
an
30
amazing
minutes
place.
away from Marbella.
Very beautiful golf course. Yeah. And then I would definitely mention the three. We call it the Golf Valley. Nueva Andalucía is the biggest area in Marbella, the biggest residential area in Marbella. There's a lot of Swedish people, especially there, but people from all over the world, but a lot of Scandinavians like Nueva Andalucía. It's where Porto Banús is, but it's just on top. It's just literally north of Porto Banús. And there we have three golf courses. We have Las Brisas.
Yes. Magna Marbella Golf.
Magna Marbella, that's number 4, because that's a 9-hole, not 19. 18.
See, I don't know anything about golf.
So it's 9.
I just don't. So I just know it's a nice place.
So if we talk about the big golf courses, it's Las Brisas, Los Naranjos, and Aloha Golf. That's the 3 big ones. And that gives a name to the place. They call it the Golf Valley. So if you're in that place, you have 3 of the best golf courses on the coast.
And they have very, very good restaurants as well.
Very good restaurants.
Going there for a coffee or breakfast, and a lot of people have meetings there. Because it's a great place to meet. You have a beautiful landscape, and you have a lot of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to mention, now we talk golf, Nueva Andalucía as an area as well. It's a very important area to mention. So apart from the golf, what else would you do in Nueva Andalucía?
See, I can't remember how many golf courses we have.
It's approximately
we'll get back to that.
80 or 90 on the coast.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
We have to figure that out. It
is around 80
right.
on the coast, yeah.
So around 80 golf courses.
Yeah.
Definitely a must visit if you are into golfing.
Absolutely,
the next thing, which I know you have a big passion for, is hiking. And there's a lot of hiking trails in Marbella.
Yes. I love that you can, if you are in the so-called city, in 5 to 10 minutes up the road, you'll be already on the track. So that's where you can start at the base level of La Concha. And you can just walk up as much as you want.
What if people don't know what La Concha is?
It's we call it the signature mountain of Marbella, because almost no matter where you are around Marbella, you can see that mountain. And it really has a very special energy. It's huge and it's very close.
A lot of people are very attracted
part of the
to
city. It's a very important part of the environment. It's almost like when you look at Hollywood Hills. But
Is it
sort of different, but it has a similar.
Landmark.
It's just very. It's massive, and it has a certain power to it.
That is for sure.
Yeah. So it's important.
Hiking trails as well.
Important
I have to mention Juanar.
Yes, it is important. Talking about Juanar, it's important to actually go all the way up to the top of La Concha. That's the best view you will get on the coast.
That is for sure.
Because it's 1,000 meters above the surface of the ocean, but it's very close to the ocean.
And do you remember how long time it takes to reach the top?
From Juanar, it takes about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Juanar is just you literally drive up behind the mountain. You drive up, so you're already more than halfway up, and then you walk the rest of the way. So that's the easy way. I once walked up from ground zero. That was much harder. And that took a long time.
And it wasn't the best ending of that trip.
It was a very special
Dramatic,
experience.
like very dramatic ending.
It was very dramatic. We were, we basically we didn't bring enough water. So we got more than
pretty much
thirsty on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was 40 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And it took 8 or 9 hours. And I can remember I was super annoyed. It's like, we're going out for lunch and you never arrived back. It's like, sitting somewhere.
First of all, I always loved so-called mountains, but we never had mountains in Denmark. In Denmark, where we come from, the highest, it's not even a mountain, it's a hill. It's 150 meters.
Yeah, it's nothing to worry about.
So this one is like, and that's very far from the highest peak. The highest peak in Sierra Nevada, which is 2 hours away, is about 2,500, so 2,500 to 3,000. I think it is actually 3,000 in Sierra Nevada. So they have glaciers there. Even though it's so southern, you have snow all year as well on the glacier. So that's pretty impressive.
But note to self: if you're going to La Concha or going to hike on that mountain,
bring enough water.
Yeah, bring enough
that's
water.
The most important.
And don't go in the high seasons, which is around from May to September, because it gets very, very hot.
And that's the reason I mentioned Denmark is I'm used to a much colder weather and not even mountains, but small hills. So I just totally underestimated that. And I was just not aware how big this place is and how warm it is and how much you're going to need water on the way. It's seriously, seriously important. So I tell people to always bring more than enough water. Yeah.
Bring enough water.
Yeah.
Go for a hike.
Yeah.
Next thing.
But if you bring enough water, it is absolutely a must to go there. Yeah.
Very well pointed out.
Yeah.
Nightlife.
Nightlife. Yeah. So what okay, so if we talk pure nightlife, right? We don't talk about restaurants, we talk nightlife.
Yes.
Then the place from when I came
nightlife
first time was 2005. But even far before that, it's called Sweet. And it is on the Puente Romano Hotel. It's still good, but there are so many other places
I think we
now.
Talk about the place yesterday.
But it was the best place for decades.
Where Paris Hilton used to come as a DJ.
That was up the road. That's what I wanted to mention.
Oliva Valera.
Oliva Valera. That is where you go after Sweet. So if you were talking about the traditional, the original nightlife scene, you have to mention Sweet and Oliva Valera. If you talk about the new...
I mixed those two things up, yes.
Yeah, but if you talk about the new nightlife scene, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Because now you have the Mosh Group that we mentioned.
The Mosh Group, we love the Mosh Group.
They're absolutely amazing.
They know how to pull off a party.
They know how to create a vibe, and they are so creative. They're so impressive what they're doing. Every single place they create is absolutely unique. And you need to go to every single place. Yeah. So that's why people like Haaland, the very famous football player from Norway who plays for Manchester City, he loves those venues. He's there all the time. And not all the time, he's playing football, but he likes to go when he's free sometimes, right? So, Mosh Group. So they have Momento, which is on Ricardo Soriano, the Golden Mile.
And as far as I remember, it opens after
pure dance club.
Yes.
That's the dance club.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think they open after 12. So it's not a place you will go early in the evening. It's like after the dinner, after the party, after. I think you can party to 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
And we have a Motel Particulier. It's another place. We haven't been there yet.
No.
Still missing it. Then we have.
Is that also in the Mosh Group?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have new downtown.
And then they have this new beach venue towards Estepona.
Right. Nido.
Something with Nido, right?
Yeah, Nido Estepona.
And then the one we went to last time, you remember?
Yes.
Which is Central Marbella on the beach. Beach party.
And
pretty
we actually
cool
happened
beach
to
party.
film there.
We filmed there.
Yeah.
So what was the name of that?
That's a good question. Cannot remember right now. Oh yeah. It's called Playa Padre.
Playa Padre.
Fabulous place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good party, very good DJ.
So keep your eyes out for the Mosh Group because they are coming after you. Or you are coming after them, that's
when we
for sure.
talk about top venues, we should mention that they went together with Danny Garcia, the famous chef in Marbella. He's born and raised in Marbella, and now he's just world famous for his nice restaurants, and he's such a genuine very nice person, right? And he made, there's an old, it used to be a Middle Eastern bank, and it was empty for decades. And nobody knew if it was ever going to, something was ever going to happen there.
A lot of local people tried to get that spot.
But I don't even know if it's open yet, but it's probably already open, but it's opening now. And it's opening up with
It's not opened yet.
people to open it up in the right way. So that's a place you would have to see.
And we forgot to mention the Dolce Gabbana Chiringuito, which is also, before it was named La Cabana.
So yeah, in episode 1 we mentioned the Marbella Club Hotel, we mentioned Puente Romano Hotel, and then we should mention Los Monteros Hotel.
Yes, which has not been open for around 1.5 years.
Yeah, but that was the 3 first hotels when Marbella, the modern Marbella was born.
I think it was 3
and their
5-star hotels, but you also have the one of Don Pepe Melia Hotel, which is also a 5-star hotel in the same.
Yeah, but it's newer. So now I just said the 3 was the 3 first ones when they came in the 70s.
Timelines.
You know, because that's...
I'm missing out of that.
That's because I wanted to live there, but I was, born in that time instead. But at least we got part of it, a little bit of it in the 70s and the 80s. But so Los Monteros Hotel, their beach club is called La Cabana. La Cabana. And that was taken over by Dolce Gabbana. Because it already kind of had the name.
Yes.
So, yeah. So we talked about beaches, beach clubs. We talked about nightlife, Old Town.
Golfing.
Hiking. We mentioned some of the nice areas around Marbella as Nueva Andalucía. Yeah, we talked about Puerto Banús. So what else do we need to talk about? What else do you need to see?
I think
if you are there for the first time?
Yes, you definitely need to have a local dinner. Try the local food.
And where would you go? There's like
so many good places.
Spanish food all over. But what Spanish food would you prefer?
So of course everyone has to try a paella, and there's different versions of paella.
Yeah.
You have paella valenciana. You have a lot of different paellas, but definitely a must-try paella, and of course sangria.
But can you explain how our Spanish friends taught us to enjoy a Spanish lunch in the right way on Saturdays and Sundays with family and friends around for hours, long lunches, something we didn't know from where we came. It's not normal in Denmark to do that. But for them, the lunches and the weekends are very important. So you meet around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And you always dress up.
You always dress up.
Do the maximum efforts to dress up.
And it's very important. It's like almost like Christmas Eve. They take it seriously.
Yes.
So you need to be around the people that you really want to be around for that lunch on a Saturday or a Sunday. And it starts around 2 in the afternoon or before. And it can go on until 8 or more. Yeah.
And then you take the second round.
So that's a pretty long lunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
But can you mention, one of the places we loved, right?
Yes.
You remember?
El Portalón.
El Portalón.
It was
super amazing.
fantastic.
And it doesn't exist anymore. It's very sad.
Of the restaurant.
Amazing place. It was just on the other side of Marbella Club. We came there wintertime. They had fire in the fireplace.
The fireplace in the middle of the restaurant.
And
you just welcomed in it like
our friend was one of their probably the best guests they ever had. So he was allowed to go into the kitchen and made certain requests and criticize the chef, and it was amazing. And I even remember just an example of political incorrectness, and obviously some people won't like this.
Is that a thing? Political incorrectness?
For some people it is, and just to pay respect to them, I'll just mention an example of, and I will admit that it was politically incorrect, but it was out of my hands. The owner of the place decided that it was okay that we smoked pretty big cigars in the restaurant.
Yes.
And there were clients/guests just next to us that didn't seem to like it, but it was not a problem. So that was just that was an experience, because at that time we just came from Denmark, and it's like you can hardly smoke anywhere.
No.
Everything is impossible. It's like there's a rule for everything.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I exist. I'm so sorry that I'm here.
You are not allowed to breathe anymore, even in Denmark. We have to find you.
If you have any preference or habit at all, go into that room and leave us alone. That's how it is. So
I actually remember that some of the clients he didn't like. So it's like, we're closed today.
and I
You remember that?
I just want to mention that the era that I came from, and now I sound really old. When
you
my
sound
friends
super old.
when my friend's dad
Really old.
took us to school,
Like really old.
he was smoking pipe in the car,
Okay.
and he didn't roll down the windows, and it was like you could see half a meter in front of you. It was like, so when you've tried that, if that is your upbringing, and that's normal, where I came from at least, and actually my dad at the time would
you
do something similar,
brought up as
then
passive smoker.
to me it's a small thing to smoke a cigar in a big room. You know, it's like nothing
You know,
compared
I
to
think
that.
it's totally okay.
You can
I think
still
it's
see
so
what's in front of you,
old style.
But-
and there's something about a cigar. I don't know what it is. I don't smoke.
but I have to admit there was a part of
But I
me
do
that
appreciate
enjoyed
it.
the political incorrectness of doing that and being allowed to do it and not being in any way put in place for just enjoying that cigar inside and not outside, but inside.
But we're not.
Thank
we're
you,
not-
El Portalón.
Thank you, El Portalón.
And every
Thank you
time
for
we
an
say the
amazing-
Spanish
amazing,
words,
amazing
we have
party.
to demonstrate that we can actually say the Spanish words, right? Because
Sí,
we normally
Portalón.
talk with Spanish friends and they
In
expect us
fact,
to
I
try
remember
to
the
speak their
first time
language.
we was invited to a restaurant. I was pregnant, and friends we were invited with, the couples there didn't even speak a single word of Spanish, and you're sitting there totally polite, like.
And where are we now? Where are
in
we now in the
Portalón.
picture? El Portalón.
Yeah.
And who are we talking about? I mean,
The first time we were there, invited.
Yeah.
They had brought friends from Córdoba.
oh, exactly.
From,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
From the north, Basque
from
country.
somewhere.
From the Basque country, and they didn't speak a word English.
Maybe a word. That's no
Maybe like,
exaggeration.
hey, no, like,
I'm sure they could say a few words. but,
probably.
yeah.
A couple maybe. But
And they were very, very nice people, by the way.
But
But
thanks
it's
to
interesting.
El Portalón.
It's very interesting when you learn. You actually speak Danish, but nobody speaks Danish in the world. So it's like we don't even discuss if we should adapt to other languages when you have a Danish background, because if not, you're not going to be able to speak with anyone.
Sure.
So you better learn a few languages if you want to be able to talk with other people than
Still
Danish
learning.
people.
Still improving my English.
But then it is interesting to come to a country where people feel that it's definitely not necessary to speak any other language than your own. Another example of that is,
fantastic.
I just have to mention another Danish example, because in Denmark we have a lot of German tourists. And I mentioned that because I grew up in an area where our neighbor rented out summer houses for Germans and Dutch and English and Belgian people. And I always spoke with them in the summer holidays. And nice people, they like to go fishing in the lakes. So one of the things is, these German people, when they came, they did not ask us, do you speak German? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? We had to learn that in school. They just spoke German to us in our country and expected us to reply in German. It's not like, is it okay that I speak German to you in Denmark? Do you speak German at all? They just speak German to you. And if you don't reply, you're not polite.
It's interesting.
So it's like we're a little bit under pressure to learn languages in such a small country as Denmark, right?
Just a tiny bit.
But
20.
having said that, it's nice to meet an authentic culture like the Spanish one, where people don't, with all respect for the English language, it is practical that people speak that, but actually it's very charming if you think about it, that they don't. There's something charming about that as well.
I love it.
It's like on Iceland, they don't even have the word Coca-Cola and McDonald's. It doesn't exist.
Right.
They translate all words.
Computer.
And computer.
Yeah.
They don't have one English word in their vocabulary.
So interesting.
Not one. Iceland.
Iceland. But now Marbella.
So now we're back in Marbella.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have definitely been around the block.
What else would you do as the first thing when you
Oh.
came to Marbella, besides the 7-8 things we already talked about?
I don't know I don't know if this is the first thing, but you have to visit the feria.
The feria.
And that is a local festival.
Es
in
muy
Spain.
importante. Muy, muy importante.
Very important.
So one
very
of the things that we realized when we came, we have
It's like if you like dress-up parties, so this is the place you would go
It's
to
like
as a woman.
when
you dress up as a
I
woman,
remember
you
we
could ride
were
a horse.
we were in Ronda, right? Ronda is an amazing wine district, 1 hour inland from the coast. Very beautiful place, very, very beautiful place. They have this dramatic bridge going through the village, where in the medieval times it was used as an execution method. They
Thanks
just
for
literally
that. We don't
dropped
have that
people
now. Yeah.
100 meters
If you
down.
did something,
If they didn't
you
behave
drop
well.
off the cliff.
But but in Rwanda, I remember we came to this feria. We didn't even know there was a feria. And during it's like, what do you call that in English, a feria? It's a festival.
It's like a local festival.
Festival
But more like
for this particular village.
Yes.
And all the villages have different dates for their festivals, their ferias. And this one in Rwanda, I just remember we came, it was like coming into another age.
Oh, yes.
Being part of a theater or a movie. Everybody except us was dressed for the occasion.
Right.
You know, they were riding horses. They had
Even the kids
men,
and babies.
All the men looked like bullfighter, you know, outfits.
Torreos,
Yeah,
something like that.
and the women had long dresses, like flamenco dresses, and they looked at us as if we, what are you doing here?
You know, when you know, like, you feel so stupid. Like,
It's like,
okay.
what? Stupid
just-
tourists?
Yeah,
Stupid
totally
tourists.
stupid tourists.
How many times have you? That's another funny question. I think myself. How many times have you felt like a stupid tourist?
How funny is
in-
that
in
question, you
Spain?
think?
Did you ever feel like a stupid tourist?
Many times. Like, many times. But it helps every time we go, you know?
But there's something good about that as well. It teaches us to be a bit humble.
It's a good excuse
Yeah.
as to feel like a stupid tourist sometimes.
Yeah.
You can also pull
Yeah,
it
you
off
can
as
use
like,
it-
yeah.
you can
if you
use
know
it
you
to your
understand,
advantage
then you
sometimes.
don't speak Spanish, and
know.
then you don't want to understand what they're saying. It's like, don't understand.
I'm not sure. No comprendo.
Yeah, don't understand.
No
Like,
hablo español.
But I love the Spanish people. I love the Spanish culture.
Yeah. They are so
It can just be
real.
very hard for as a foreigner to navigate in sometimes.
Yeah. I remember once we talked, you remember there was a guy, I think another parent from school or something, and we said, we're going to Thailand because we love Thailand. And then he said, what are you going to do in Thailand?
Yeah.
Well, nice beaches, you know, very nice food.
great.
But Spain, that's what we have
Spain.
here.
Yeah.
What are you going to travel all the way to the other part where that's what Spain is. So
That's the thing. They love their own country.
they love their
Which is
own
fair,
country, that's for
totally
sure.
fair.
That's one thing you can say for sure. They love
can say
Spain.
many things.
Spaniards love Spain.
Yes. That's totally okay.
It's totally fine.
Totally the Marbella way.
They are their own ambassadors, that's for sure. They do not, let's say, act as if they don't like their culture. They live their
That
culture
is
and their
one thing
lifestyle
That is 100
to the fullest.
sure.
To the fullest.
To the fullest.
Yeah. So what else would we do if we came for the first time?
Yeah,
What's
I don't have
important to
anything more
mention?
on my list, but I have 100,000 things in my head.
Let us just think. So what would you do that was not in your list? You know, now that you lived there for a couple of years.
Oh, I have a, I have a passion for old things, old souls. I connect with people that are much older than me.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a passion for it. Like, I feel like I'm,
One of the reasons
Been there
because you had such an amazing relationship to your grandmother.
maybe that, I don't know why. Maybe
Could be one of the reasons. Yeah.
But I love that little town in Marbella. It's like a hidden town. And a lot
That's
of people
right.
don't know it.
How could we forget La Virginia?
La Virginia. It's
That
like
is
living
like
out of
finding
I don't know
a gemstone.
if you watch the movie Chocolat or
It's like
Chocolat.
you feel like they must have set this up to give you
Yeah.
a special
This is unreal.
experience.
It's like a movie scene. If you go there, you feel like you're part of something that you cannot describe. I'm not even able to. It's just wow. It's vibrating in all of me. It's such a charming little town in a town in a town, and there's a little fountain. There's like beautiful lights in all the trees, and you
Can
have
we just stay
restaurants
here?
and have the
And
best
then there's the
restaurants,
smallest
French
church, I think,
Yes,
you can
the
ever
smallest
find.
church in Spain.
It's very, very charming. But I can't mention that we loved the French restaurant in that village
I remember that.
because it's not Spanish. So, but it was good,
It was
really good.
like really good.
But it's like
Was out.
very unlikely that you will find that place.
Yes.
It's not easy to find.
I remember
You
the
just-
first time, no, not the first time, but I took some of the local people there and have never been there before.
No. Even locals don't know it exists. It's just
of the-
it's down the most anonymous little, not even a road, but it's like it is a road, but it's a small road, and you just think that there's a house or something down there, and then there's a little village. It's really a discovery. Beautiful, beautiful place. So that I would take that as part of
So
the
this is
top
like
10 as well.
top 11. Go to the beach, go to the nightlife, hiking, old town, Spanish cuisine, golfing, hike. That's the Marbella way.
The Marbella way. Yeah, exactly.
And just forgive me if I said a lot of things incorrect, numbers, figures, wrong places, wrong numbers.
I don't think you mentioned a lot of numbers, actually.
Maybe I should be lucky with that.
But only that there was
maybe
the
names.
number of golf courses, but that's
Yeah.
around 80.
Yeah. Forget about the number of the golf courses. I was not updated.
But we're not going into the, let's say, statistical department in
that's
this
really good.
episode. But we
Perfect.
will down the line, because there's a lot of facts that we need to illustrate at a certain point in time.
We will put that in
But
your
right now,
hands
we're
for
just
next time.
introducing the place.
So get ready for next time of more Marbella dose. Oh, a dose of Marbella or
Yes.
dash
yes.
of Marbella.
And yeah,
Because that's the Marbella way. Get ready for the next dose of a dose of a dose. Cheers.
cheers.
You know what you do is like, is the glass half empty or half?
That is not even half full.
I don't even like when you're like,
But
is that,
now,
I don't
what
like
it's going to
that,
be,
is that the glass
it's very
half
important
empty,
that
half
when
full?
it's half empty, that it's always half
I would
full.
love to say it's like half
But
full, half empty.
now it's more than half full. More than half full.
Appreciate that. And we're not even talking about statistics yet.
Not yet, but we will have to enter that little important,
Cheers.
let's say,
To the Marbella way.
yeah, to the Marbella way. Thank you for another interesting
Conversation.
on.
Next time we go more in details.
Yeah,
I want to talk about restaurants, hotels.
but I would say that if we had gone into details too early, I would feel that we somehow didn't. We somehow have to use the broader, like, perspective to start out with. Otherwise, it's like we're jumping the fence. We have to let's say,
Cannot jump.
define the setting. What setting are we talking about? You know, that's what I hope we have done.
Let's hope.
Otherwise, we will have to make
I'm
another.
not here to judge.
We may still introduce the place in episode number 100.
200.
But then we'll go into detail.
Yes, we do that.
Yeah.
It's a deal.
Yeah.